Hey, good afternoon, and thanks for tuning in this week. Welcome to Midweek Motivation. I want you to define life. Or can it really be defined? Maybe this clip will give you a little bit better of an explanation. In that clip, you saw marbles going every which way, and sometimes our lives are like that too, going in all kinds of different directions. And so my question about defining life is not from a biological or from a dictionary standpoint, but rather from an experiential standpoint. In other words, every person has a different vantage point on the scene of life. How you go through life and what you experience is going to be different from one person to the next. Some may have experienced dark times where some may have been sheltered. Some may have grown up from paycheck to paycheck, where others may not have even had a worry at all in where their money came from. Some have had no parents, where some have had two parents. Maybe some have had more than two parents. Some have been educated where others have been not so educated. Some have moved multiple times, where maybe other people have lived in the same house practically all their life. And the list could just continue on and on and on. So to ask you to define life would be interesting, because it would be based on what you've experienced and your vantage point. And that would be a lot different than mine. But that is what makes life so interesting. And sometimes in life, it will seem like it may be bad, but then it turns out for good. It kind of twists and turns. And that's what today's talk is all about. The idea, it's a twisty life. And so that brings us to this quote by J. Kim Wright. And he says, "Life has many twists and turns, and sometimes what looks like a very bad day can just be clearing the way for good things to come." I like what that quote said. Life can be sometimes like one of those toys like I had as a kid that it goes for a while, and then when it runs into an obstacle, it kind of backs up, it turns it a little bit, and then it goes again. If it keeps running into obstacles, it keeps making turns and adjusting as it goes. And so it keeps going and going. It allows the toy to be in control, not the obstacle. So there are greater things for us in the future. Philippians chapter 1 and verse 12 seems to fit with this quote, and I really like what Paul is having to say about undesired things happen, but then they can come out for good. Philippians 1:12 reads this way, "Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel." Now, friends, I know that you've had a bad day from time to time, as I've had plenty of mine. But as I look back at some of those times in which were bad, sometimes they were camouflaged. They were camouflaged because something good still came out of those bad times. And I call those times that God brought the good out of the bad, I call them surprises. And so I want us to look at the days to come with a perspective that the days may not be able to be defined. In other words, they may not always be ideal of what you may think they're going to be, but still good things can come from them. And I call those kinds of days, or this whole kind of life, a twisty life. In other words, there's all kinds of twists and turns. You never know where the marbles are going to go, but still there's good things that can come from them. In regards to our spiritual life, think about what chapters in the past has maybe been a little bit not so pleasant, but God has made some pleasant things come from them. Or what has God made things out of your past that has not been so great, but still good or great things have come from them. And so feel free to leave a comment and let us know how your twisty life has been, maybe from a bad standpoint, but has twisted into something good. Hey, God bless, and have a great week.